In Python, loops are control flow statements that allow us to repeat a block of code as long as certain conditions are met. So, what does that even mean? Well, first off, there are two kinds of loops in Python, while loops and for loops. Starting with while loops, which are defined by using the while keyword, these loops repeat until a given condition is satisfied. For example, this code snippet will repeat to infinity as we never alter the initial condition to cause the loop to stop. I'd highly encourage you to actually execute this command block in your IDE and take a look at what the output says. Now that we've created an infinite loop, let's add a condition to stop the loop after the first loop iteration. The reason this extra line stops the loop is because initially the variable condition is equal to true. However, as the code runs sequentially from top to bottom, after one iteration of the loop, we can see that the variable condition gets updated to false. And because the loop is conditional on the variable condition being true, the loop stops. It's very common when using while loops to have some sort of counter declared as a variable. For example, in this code snippet, we have declared a variable count with an integer value of 0. After each iteration of the loop, we increase the value of the variable count by 1, which continues until the count is equal to 10, wherein because the condition is now false, the loop ends, and the loop ended text is printed to the screen. Also, if you don't understand what's happening on line number 6, feel free to watch my previous video on operators in Python to get a better understanding of what's happening here. Let's talk about for loops, which allow us to tell Python that we want to execute a code block a predetermined amount of times without the need to create a separate variable and condition to check the value. For example, with for loops, we can iterate over items in a list, or we can pass in a value to the range function to specify the number of times we want the loop to iterate. Up until this point, I haven't discussed break or continue statements, which allow you to control the flow of your loops. For example, when using the break statement, you can iterate over a list to find a certain value within the list. For example, in this code snippet, you can iterate over the list dudes until you find a certain value within this list. In this case, we want the loop to break when person is equal to Liam. You can use the continue statement to stop the current iteration of a loop and continue with the next. In this code snippet, we can get our loop to continue even after item Liam has been found. I hope you had fun in this lesson, as loops were one of the very first concepts that really attracted and intrigued me in the world of Python programming. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments, as I actually read all of them, as well as questions. Feel free to leave any sort of suggestions on topics or videos you'd like me to cover. If you're following along in the series, continue to tune in, as we're going to start taking a few steps towards slightly more intermediate programming in Python. If you like the video, like the video. If you want to see more of me, press subscribe. Thank you for watching.